Every time I changed jobs when I was younger, I cashed out my 401k every single time. And at that time, I thought I was making the right decision. I wasn't thinking about retirement. I was not thinking about compound growth. I was just thinking about surviving in that moment. Fast forward to age 47, and I realized that I have got absolutely no 401k savings. That was a really painful realization. However, that was my reality. So, in this video, I'm going to show my real 401k numbers. You'll see my contributions, my employer contributions, market growth, and just how much progress I've made, even though I'm starting late. And honestly, just over 2 years later, these numbers really did shock me. Um, FYI, though, this is not financial advice. This is just simply my real life journey rebuilding retirement in my late 40s. So, 2024, that was my first year really taking my 401k seriously. Um, Seeing this on the screen now, uh, it was a bit emotional for me because definitely at 47 years old, I felt way behind. But I started anyway, so let's just go ahead and get on into the actual numbers. So in 2024, my personal contributions were $10,550.72. My employer matched, added another $4,907.40. Um, so, just really quickly about this, my employer matches up to 8% of my eligible compensation. But it's not really like, a full one for one, like it's not a full 8% match. What my employer really does is they match 50% of the first 8% of my pay. So therefore, the math works out to if I put in 8% of my pay, then my employer will put in 4%. So as you can see, to get this portion of money, like I have to do something, meaning I have to put some skin in the game. This match is made throughout the year with each paycheck that I make contributions. So this right here completely changed my mindset because for years I did ignore employer match. I didn't really understand, or I didn't fully understand, that this was literally additional compensation tied to participating in the retirement plan. So then on top of that, the market added $1,163.51. So by the end of 2024, my total account balance reached $18,112.86. And, you know, I remember when I saw that, I was just like, you know what? This is like really the first time that retirement investing ever started to like really feeling real to me because I could physically see, my money going in, then my employer's money stacking on top of that, and the market growth building over time. And so, again, I just want you all to remember like, I started this process at 47 years old. Um, Now, before we leave kind of the 2024 recap, just for quick clarity, I do want to address why my 2024 ending balance shows that I had $18,112.86 in the account. But under additional information, it says that my vested balance was only $12,314.84. So the reason why is because there's also a requirement that for the employer match to be considered fully mine or what's called vested, I have to stay with the company for 3 years. So once I hit the 3-year mark for my employment, then all of the employer contributions, they are immediately mine. They're immediately vested. Now let's move into 2025. So in 2025, this is where I started to see like the power of consistency, right? Because with the 401k, the employee contributions, they're just coming like directly out of your paycheck. So before any money ever even hits my checking account, my retirement stuff has already been taken out. So in this case, my contributions added another $13,129.04, and then my employer contributions added another $9,122.49. Um, so when you quickly kind of compare 2024, what my employer put in versus what they put in 2025, something new happened to me in 2025. So in 2025, included in that $9,000 and some change from my employer was an automatic contribution from my employer. So my employer makes an automatic contribution of 3% of my eligible compensation, and it is non elective. So, non elective means that my employer deposits 3% of my eligible compensation into my retirement account every year, whether I contribute anything myself or not, right? So, it's automatic. I did not have to opt in, but similar to the company match, it is not 100% mine or vested until I have worked with the company for 3 years. So I was not eligible for this in 2024 because in 2024 I was a new employee, and clearly I didn't work for them in 2023. But once I worked for the company in 2024 and then I made it into 2025, then the company did make an automatic contribution in 2025 for my 2024 work. So mathematically, with this additional automatic contribution, then my employer contribution actually goes up from the 4% to a total of 7% contribution. So, that's why it was such a huge difference to me, 2024 compared to 2025. And then we see that market growth did add another $8,617.72. So then that brought my account total to $49,179.99. So in 2025, this was the moment where something like finally clicked for me. So my retirement account basically has four different engines that are working together. The first is my contributions, right? And then my employer gives me a company match. And then my employer also provides a company retirement contribution, right? That's once a year. And then market growth, right? So when all four of those are stacking together consistently, well, then the momentum becomes like really powerful, right? When you start to see kind of your army of dollars working together. This isn't something that happens overnight, it's not instantly, but it is steadily. Now, honestly, I wish somebody had explained retirement investing to me just in plain English years ago, because before this, retirement always felt abstract, like something, off in the distant future, something complicated, something other people understood, but clearly I didn't understand. But once I started seeing the actual numbers grow year over year, everything changed. And now, at the time that I'm recording this video, here's where things stand currently. My 2026 personal contributions to date are $10,032.75. My employer contributions to date are $8,821.90. And the total market gains to date is $16,298.45, which brings the current total account value to $84,333.09. So seeing this feels very surreal to me because for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm building towards my future instead of like avoiding it. Now, obviously, this isn't, millionaire status, but that's actually part of why I wanted to make this video because I think people need to see realistic progress too, right? So, not just extremes, not just overnight success stories, real progress, real consistency, real rebuilding. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned through all of this is that time does matter. But you know what else matters? Consistency matters too. So I can't go back and fix my 20s or 30s, but I can maximize the years that I still have ahead of me. And just that whole realization did completely change my mindset around saving for retirement because it does, kind of seem like a daunting task in your late 40s and you have a whopping $0 in your 401k, right? But here's, an actual, take a step back, look at these numbers. And what blows my mind is that in roughly 2 years, I personally contributed about $33,000. Uh, Now, initially, when I started out, I was just contributing like the minimum, so the 8% in order for me to get my employer match. But when I saw in 2025 how um, much, the different ways of the various contributions, how once they stacked on top of each other was actually, you know, building that momentum. Anything that I got from my employer, as far as any sort of, raise, because of course raises are not, um, assumed, just depends on how the company is doing, then I went and I bumped up my employee contributions for any sort of raise, whether it was a 1%, a 2%, a 3%. I went on ahead and I bumped my employee contributions up. So that is why, basically in 2 years, I was able to contribute $33,000. Then my employer contributed about $22,000. And then market growth added roughly $26,000, right? And so that means over $80,000 was added to my future in about 2 years. And remember, I started at 47 years old, not 22, not 25, not fresh out of college, but 47. So that's why I wanted to, make this video. I wanted to make this video for people who underestimate just how much progress can happen once you finally become intentional. So, no, I can't recover the years that I lost cashing out my old retirement accounts, but seeing these numbers showed me that the needle can still move, and that does give me hope. So, if you take nothing else from this video, please remember this: starting late is still better than never starting. And if you're rebuilding financially later in life too, you are definitely not alone. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.